Hey guys, Nick here, owner of Nick Grooming and Richard Nicholas Hair Studio. I am here today to talk to you about transplants. I have my experience is not only my barber and a cosmetologist, worked in a salon for 30 years, but I've also been prepping patients for the procedures. I'm a little different than your average person coming on here talking about it because I've prepped over 3,000 patients in the last 10 years. I lost track, but I know the ins and the outs of the industry and what you should look for, what you shouldn't look for. And we're going to talk real quick on that. This is just going to be a short video, so I'm going to try to make it abbreviated version of it. So you're looking at getting transplants, and you're thinking about Turkey. We'll just get that off the list right now. I have had patients that have gotten transplants with the company that I work for, and and then their second or third go around, they went and got transplants by in Turkey, and I've seen some of the work. It's not bad. You just have to make sure that you go to somebody who's reputable. The guys that I've worked on have went to somebody that they got reference to, because you just don't want to go at a shot in the dark. So you definitely want to do your research. The other thing is you have to be careful, just because, like anything else, traveling like that, and then the high possibility for infection. And then if you do have an infection, then you're going to have an issue as far as then what do you do? Then do you do you go to the ER in the States? Because I'm currently here in the United States. We're in Philadelphia, and we're gonna and then what if you have cross contamination? There's cross contamination for blood, which is not uncommon. Well, it's not common, I should say, but it does happen. So the stricter regulations here in the States and in other countries, as opposed to Turkey, that's what's costs more, right? The techs cost more, or more. The techs get paid a lot more than the techs do in Turkey. So if you're paying that kind of money, then you're gonna have to, you have to roll the dice a little bit. And when I say cross contamination, meaning if you're on a floor with 6 other patients and you're all in a room and they do your PRP, they pull your, they take some blood to do some white blood cells or to do some injections, or, it's not uncommon. We draw blood all the time, and that blood ends up by mistake in another, person that, is more common to happen. I would be more worried about it if you came back or on your way back, you did get an infection or you had some sort of issue. Then what do? You don't fly. You're not flying back to Turkey, so you're in the ER. So that's not great either. So, you have all your different things that you have to worry about. But if you're trying to save money, it is what it is. And I'm not going to tell you not to do it. But anyway, so I would say the group that I've been working for the last 10 years, we do, I say do average probably about 2,500 grafts. According to the rule of thumb is if you're over at about 3,500, 4,000, then you end up in, you're kind of really harvesting a lot, over harvesting. And then when you pack them tightly together, they have trouble surviving, I guess, if you will, because the follicle is going to need blood flow, and if it's compromised, then you're going to have an issue. Now, the other thing here in the U.S., the hairlines from what I've seen tend to be better. The most important thing, I think, is dealing with A, obviously, is cost for most people, and then B is the hairline. If you are filling in just a crown, you don't have to worry about that as much, but the hairline is art, and so you want to make sure that the tech or the doctor that is doing your hairline is really good. So focus on that. So interview the doctor, interview the tech, figure out who's the doctor. There in the U.S., you have to, at least here in Pennsylvania, you have to have a doctor on site, so in case anything goes wrong. So that's also important. And they will be doing the incisions. So I get a lot of questions, and I'll go over a couple of them real fast. So basically, do you have to shave your head? The back, if you're doing an FUE and you're not doing a strip, which most people are not doing the strip anymore, and I don't recommend doing the strip because you're robbing Peter to pay Paul. You're basically cutting a huge scar in the back of your head, which you'll never be able to take your hair tight ever again, which kind of sucks. And I know a lot of people don't love that. So FUE is just the new way. They take each individual follicle out, and they will take it out of the back of your head in this area right through here. And they're going to take that, each individual follicles out. They're going to basically put it in a stasis, and they're going to split the hairs because many people have 2 and 3 and 4 hairs coming out of basically one area, one follicle. They'll split the hairs, and then they'll basically use, so that way they only have to take maybe 1,500 or 1,000 hairs out, extracted, and then they can split them and get their 3,000 or 2,500 grafts. So the follicles that they're going to put back in. So they'll go in with the incisions, and they'll make their incisions. Now, do you have to? Yes, you have to shave it that short back there to be able to extract it. Now, I've done it in ways where when I prep the patients, I shave the back down, and I basically give them a high and tight, almost like a military type fade. If they request that the top stays longer, we can usually get away with that. I know a lot of the doctors don't like to do that. I've been in rooms and seen procedures where they basically shave the whole head. It creates a problem when you're trying to show for coverage, and you want it to look a little bit more natural as it's growing in, because when you go back to work, you have an entirely shaved head that's a little off, and then of course you have all the little dots, and so you can hide it better depending upon how thick your hair currently is, and then of course how much hair you have, how much hair you left, or the barber, whoever is cutting it. You are going to need to fade that line out. If you leave some length on the top, and then you have the sides and in the back shorter, you're going to want to fade this. You're going to end up with a very heavy line right about here. So you're going to want to work that line out. And you can go back to your barber, or that's usually what I do. I tell them to come back in like a week or two, and I'll blend that line out so that they can continue to let their hair grow, and then just go back to the normal schedule. We do a lot of soaks and spray to make sure that it stays disinfected and clean. The soaks are to keep the scabs loose, so they can basically get the scabs off when they come back in a week, to make sure everything's healing up. And then and then you would be good there. Like I said, if you've never had your hair that like I'll say, if you never had your hair that short, then you probably, it's going to be a culture shock. It will. Some doctors will tell you, oh, you can be back to work in a week. I doubt that. It depends on how thick your hair currently is, like I said earlier. And are you able to wear a hat to work? You know what I mean? So things like that. So you want to be, just be mindful of that when you're scheduling your procedure and you're taking your time off from work. If you can take 2-3 weeks off, even better. If you can work from home, even better. So that's why we have gotten really busy, because since COVID, a lot of people have been able to work from home. So that's what's happening now. At least it's more common. So, you're going to get some swelling most likely, especially if you do more follicles towards the frontal hairline. You get from the numbing agents and the blood and the just swelling and everything. It's going to then travel down your forehead as day 2, day 3, day 1.5, day 2, day 3. The swelling is going to start to bubble, and you're going to get like a little bubble in your forehead. If you do get that, don't worry about it. You're basically just use either a jade roller, which would be like a stone that's like a roller that people use for skin care, things like that, to keep swelling down, bags under the eyes and things like that. So then you're going to want to put that in the freezer, keep that nice and cold, and just kind of push that swell out. There's a couple different things you can do. You can ice it. You can, ice and heat is what the doctor always told me. To kind of heat draws it, the swell to the top, and then the ice is gonna reduce the swelling. Don't panic; it'll go away just as fast as it came. The other thing that you're gonna also experience, it could be black and blue eyes. It could be redness, swelling. Redness may not go away around the where you do the hairline, so that's also something that you want to be just be mindful of. You're not going to want to cover it too much with anything, maybe a loose hat, but other than that, you're not going to want to, because you want to be mindful of the grafts and you don't want to damage them or anything like that. The hair in the back grows usually pretty quickly. That'll, in a couple days, you won't even notice it, let alone a week. So yeah. Now, your hair is going to change as it grows out after the procedure's done, and you're going to get some shock loss. So it's definitely going to change your hair as the hair falls out. Some of it's going to grow back immediately. Some of will stall and won't grow back for a while. Some will grow like an inch and then pause there for a while and just seem like it's not growing. So some won't grow at all. So usually is about 3 phases. A third of it sheds right out immediately. The other third starts to grow normally, and then the other third grows a little bit and then freezes or just stays at its length and doesn't grow anymore. So it really just depends on your age and your hair follicle and how it's going to react. So you can't really judge as to what it's going to do. And if you get a lot of shock loss, if you get 50-60% shock loss, do not panic. That's not uncommon. That does happen. Just means you have more hair growing back later, so you have to take a couple steps back before you go forward. You're not going to get really good results like where you're actually going to be satisfied, I feel, until about 3 to 6 months in to where you're actually going to notice something. And then 9 months in, most of the patients are really happy, and then about a year in, they're really happy. So it just, and then I've seen it go as long as a year and a half before you get full growth. And I wouldn't do a second procedure unless you have at least a year and a half of growth in, because you want to let the other follicles that you transplanted to get established before you go ahead and start overcrowding or messing with them. I know it is addicting because a lot of my patients will come in, the clients that I send over, they'll get a procedure done, and then like a year later they want to do another one and another one. So so be mindful that does happen. And it's you never get as many grafts as you think you are. You think 3,000 sounds like a lot. It kind of does, but then also it doesn't, depending upon how much loss you have, how thick your hair is, and things like that. So anyway, again, me coming from, I am the barber. I am the hairdresser. So if you go to your barber and you say, I need to prep for this procedure, they need to skin you. You need to be down to 1 millimeter, which is basically a half guard. And it's really, really tight. It's what I take my hair to here. So, you're going to want to, like I said, you're going to want to make sure that they do it all the way around. You could go to the top of the ear, but you might as well come all the way to the front. And then you're going to fade all the way around till you get to the top of the bottom of the whorl, right? So you have a whorl there, and which is where your little swirl mark is. Below that, all the way down. So basically, military high and tight, very, very high and tight fade. So that's what they're gonna have to do. They can blend it, and then and it should be fine. Better than having to put a big scar in the back of your head. Definitely will tell you that. So I'm gonna bat this video around, and then let's see, any questions I can respond. Any comments, I will do a more lengthy video, and I want to do one with one of the patients, and then I'll talk to him about before and afters and things like that. So all right, thank you guys, peace out.